Good evening, everyone. How are you guys doing? Before we begin, let me introduce myself, right? I am Karunya. I've been working as a psychologist since 2 years. I'm currently working associated with Asha Hospitals and currently working with Asha Jyoti Rehabilitation Center, right? So today's topic is the power of healthy boundaries, 7 key types, right? So before we begin, right, I would like to ask everyone a question. Mm. Quick questions, right? So raise your hand if you have ever said yes when you actually wanted to say no, felt drained after spending time with someone, checked a work message during your personal time, felt guilty for prioritizing yourself, started something personal, and later wished you'd hadn't. It looks like many of us have experienced at least one of these situations. What if I told you that all of them have something in common? They often relate to boundaries or lack of them. Today, we are going to explore the power of healthy boundaries, right? And the 7 different types that can help us build healthier relationships with others and with ourselves. Okay, what is a boundary? Can anyone tell me? Can you drop a message about saying what is a boundary? According to you guys, what is a boundary? Limitation. Very true, right? It is a limitation. Boundaries are personal limits that individuals set for themselves to protect their own well being, values, and sense of self within a relationship. They define what a person is comfortable with and what they will not tolerate. A boundary is like invisible line that separates you from others on an emotional, intellectual, physical level. They help you communicate what you want and need, what you dislike, and what is acceptable and not acceptable. Your boundaries are essentially your values, the beliefs, the attitudes, behaviors that are important to you. As such, they dictate the nature of your relationships and how they develop and grow. That means to have a relationship you want, you must be clear on your own values and what you will tolerate and what you won't. How you communicate and behave within a relationship should reflect your values and your boundaries. Everybody has different boundaries. While it's important, it's also important to respect and value other person's boundaries. It's fine, to balance between being assertive, truthful, and listening. There's a fine difference between, being assertive and truthful and listening and compromising and understanding each other. Limits we set to protect our physical, emotional, and mental well being is what boundaries define, right? They define where I and you begin. Main point, key point, what we can define boundary in very simple words are boundaries are not walls, they are guidelines for how we want to be treated as. Why is a boundary important? Can anyone tell me why is boundary important? Right. Boundaries are important because they enable two or more individuals to love each other and grow together, to safeguard ourselves, right? To safeguard our own mental well-being, to safeguard, to protect ourselves from stress. Definitely. They allow us to take responsibility for ensuring our own health and the relationship, thereby to empower you to act. So it's very important for us to preserve our self-identity and autonomy, prevent resentment and burnout, foster mutual respect, enable Healthier, more sustainable relationships protect mental and emotional health. Both partners can feel safe in a relationship because there are clear guidelines or standards. That means there are clear boundaries and clear standards that they have set for themselves to communicate them properly. That's where a relationship begins, right? Each partner takes ownership of the good and the bad in the relationship. You take responsibility for your attitudes, behaviors, feelings, etc., and expect your partner to take responsibility for them as well. Establishing and maintaining your boundaries can mean sharing painful truths. Example, if you don't get help for your addiction, I'll leave. Or these allow them to, help the relationship to grow. Partners actively support each other when other experiences are overwhelming burden. That means they are actually communicating what they want. They're actually telling their responsibilities. They're actually telling, being assertive and truthful about their own needs. So it's very important for us to be assertive and truthful about our own needs and set a boundary to ourselves to protect ourselves. Example to show why boundaries are important. Here's a very small story, right? So Harry and Grace are in a relationship, and Grace checks Harry's phone, which is not really great, right? And find messages with his ex. She feels hurt and angry, while Harry feels his privacy was violated. Both feel their boundaries were crossed. For the relationship to improve, both need accountability. Grace must acknowledge invading Harry's privacy, and Harry must understand how contacting his ex affected Grace. Instead of controlling Harry by saying, "You can't talk to your ex," Grace can set a healthy boundary. So if you continue contacting her, I will choose to leave the relationship, is what Grace will firmly tell. This focuses on her own actions and limits rather than controlling someone else. So here, tell me something, right? Show what was okay and what was not okay here from this example. We can see that being firm about our needs was okay. Not invading the privacy was not okay, but communicating what are your personal needs is very important, right? This empowers partners to take responsibility and make their own decisions. This allows growth to happen. So boundaries are very much important when we build a relationship or try to build a relationship in any form. It could be romantic, it could be platonic, it could be a friendship, it could be workplace relationship, it could be acquaintance, but boundaries are important with each individual. So, so there are types of boundaries. We have physical boundaries, we have emotional boundaries, we have material boundaries, we have intellectual boundaries, we have sexual boundaries, we have time boundaries, we have digital boundaries. So that there are different types of boundaries, right? So most of us are aware of these boundaries on a very surface level. So let's get into a deeper level of to know these boundaries well. Physical boundaries. What is a physical boundary? Physical boundaries are limits and guidelines relating to your body and physical space. Okay, tell me something. How many of you like hugs from close friends? No, right? Close friends, okay. How many prefer a handshake? How many need personal space before feeling comfortable? See, each one of us has different sense of physical space and different sense of comfort in that physical space. Someone in our chat said that, with close friends, hugging close friends is okay to them. Someone was not comfortable hugging close friends. So this means that everybody has their own physical boundary to set. Does a setting physical boundary means that you dislike someone? No, exactly. But setting a physical boundary means that you are telling yourself and the other person, right? Other person, what is okay to you and what is not okay to you. Not everything that a person says or, wants or enforces on you shouldn't be okay, right? So it is very important for us to set a physical boundary, right? What level of touch are you comfortable with? Example, you can communicate that. What touch of what level of touch are you comfortable with? Example, like I don't like being hugged. I like it when you hold my hand. So what you want, you have to communicate properly. Nobody would know what is the boundary that you would draw before you tell them that, okay, I am okay with this, I am not okay with this. Who is allowed to touch you? Are there any certain foods or drinks that you don't want to consume? Because people might force you, right? Please, go have chicken. Please drink alcohol because you're in a social setting where these days, due to a lot of peer pressure, due to a lot of social acceptance, people tend to, force others that, okay, drink alcohol, smoke a cigarette, or, eat chicken, though you're a vegetarian. So these are also the physical boundaries that one should be aware of. So if you don't like something or if you're not okay with something, you should communicate. You should draw a boundary that, I am not comfortable having a drink that contains alcohol. I'm not comfortable you smoking around. Something like this, right? Which comes under physical boundary. So what if? So these are the questions I'm gonna ask. Keep in mind, right? What will you do if someone has crossed your boundary? I'm gonna ask you in further slides as well. Please think about it and start reflecting about upon it, right? Emotional boundaries. What is an emotional boundary? Emotional boundaries are limits and guidelines relating to sharing and dealing with emotions. Okay, your friend is upset and calls you every day to vent for 2 hours. You want to support them, but you feel emotionally exhausted. What would you do? So supporting someone is completely all right? They are comfortable sharing with you. Exactly. Would convey that it is not always okay. That means you shouldn't let your emotions get absorbed in the process. You shouldn't feel drained in the process. So you will have to set a limit to yourself, that setting a limit compassionately, right? You can tell them, right? Uh, you can kindly tell them that, I prefer that you share me something which is not so overwhelming for you and me as well, because I'm not comfortable taking it to myself, because I'm not able to consume a lot of emotions that you are going through. I can completely understand your pain, but I don't think so I can be helpful. I don't know, I don't think so how much I can be helpful to you, right? That doesn't mean that you are, being disrespectful or not caring about her, or, not caring about their emotions, or not it doesn't mean that you're disrespecting or not validating their emotions. You are validating their emotions by listening to them. You are acknowledging their emotions, but it has to be a limit where when you are getting trained, when your emotions are getting absorbed in the process. It's important that you draw a line, draw a boundary, because your mental health is again important to you, right? Who is going to protect your mental health? Sexual boundaries. So, are standards and limits relating to sexuality and sex life, including consent, sexual acts, communication, safety, etc. This is a very important boundary, I would say. Not most of us are comfortable talking about, and not most of us are comfortable sharing also. We are not comfortable because it's not an open topic in this country, right? So it is very important for us to be for us to come out of that stereotypical thinking and tell ourselves that it is okay to being affirmative, assertive about our own rights, our own personal body and personal space, right? Consent, which is very much important when it comes to sexual boundary. Being in a relationship automatically doesn't mean consent. That is something that one has to remember. Silence always means consent. Is it okay? Does it mean? Is silence always means consent? No, exactly, right? Silence doesn't mean consent. That means until and unless there is a assertive yes or a no to a situation which involves sexual activity, that means they're not allowed to cross that boundary or cross that line. Most of us in relationships, what we see in marital relationships, right? They're always enforced to having certain sexual life with a partner. But what do they have the consent seriously? Do we have the consent that is given by each individual, each partner to each other? We never know, which is very important for us to remember also. We shouldn't hesitate to not give consent. When we are okay, then only say yes. When we are not okay, it's completely all right. Shiraya movie, exactly. It's completely all right to say no, because here we are protecting our own bodies, our own cells, and nobody is there to protect ourselves and our own bodies. So it's very much important that we create the sexual boundaries very assertively. Then comes material boundaries. Material boundaries is very much casual these days, right? What is a material boundary? Sharing some things relating to your resources, possessions like clothes, house, car, money, lending someone money. So there's a difficulty most of us face, right? Here's what we have been observing: when we lend someone money, or when we take some money, lend some money from others, what we observe is we hesitate to ask them the money that we have lent them, that we have given them. So why does this happen? Tell me. Okay, few rapid fire questions, right? Just say yes or no. We worry about the relationship, inconvenience to ask. We hesitate. We feel that it might ruin the relationship. We feel that, this might ruin our bond that we are having. We also feel that what will other person think about us? We are being very petty about very little amount. Is that okay? Is it all right? I don't think so, right? We don't really think so. Exactly. So, a few rapid fire questions for you all, right? Would you lend your phone to a colleague? No, very private, right? Would you lend rupees 500 to your colleague? Yes, it's very basic. Would you lend your car? Yes, depends, situation, right? So everybody draws the line differently, and that boundaries around possessions are personal. So if you're comfortable lending your car to someone, someone was like, yes, I can lend my car. Few of them were like, it depends on the situations. It depends on, who is asking me, who is not asking me. It depends on various situations, right? So again, everybody has their own limits, and everybody has their own personal lines to draw. But one should remember that do not hesitate what your wants are, what your needs are when it comes to material boundaries as well, right? If you have given someone, it's your complete right to ask them back. It doesn't ruin a relationship. You're just being assertive and communicating what your needs are. If you don't communicate, what's going to happen? Tell me. If you're not telling them, you have, for example, your friend has asked you 10,000 rupees and you have given them because they were in very much crisis situation. But again, cut to 2 months, you are in that crisis situation, but you are in that crisis situation and you need that 10,000 rupees. What would you do in that situation? You would ask, right? You shouldn't hesitate to ask as well. So there's again material boundaries, limits, setting limits, drawing lines, being assertive is very much important. Intellectual boundaries. What do you think intellectual boundary could be? That relate to ideas and thoughts are shared and treated. Of course, when it comes to intellectual boundaries, there are a lot of difference of opinions that we observe in day-to-day lives. We are not okay with someone sharing their opinions, or not okay with someone sharing their opinions, not, but you know, there are a lot of difference of opinions that comes into the picture, right? So it's again very much important that we draw a line where we share, yeah, share with like-minded people that wouldn't create conflict. Exactly, right? What makes me feel disrespect when sharing ideas and thoughts? Example, when you interrupt me while I'm explaining myself, I feel disrespected. That means we have to create an open space for everyone around us to share their ideas and thoughts, though they don't match with us. But creating an open space is very much important because freedom of expression in a way, and we have to respect their ideas. It doesn't necessarily mean that we are agreeing to their thoughts or ideology. It doesn't really mean that we are okay with their ideas or thoughts. It's just that we are listening to them and acknowledging what they want to share. It's okay, it's all right. What will you do if your intellectual boundaries have been crossed? Or how will you show others that you respect your thoughts and ideas, or respect their thoughts and ideas? How will you show others? Okay, non-judgmental, right? Being non-judgmental is very much important. When others share an opinion, just keep your opinion to yourself until they complete the sentence, until they complete the ideas that they're sharing. You can tell them, I, you know, I respect your opinion. I really do understand where you're coming from, but I don't think so. I resonate with your ideology. That's a simple that we could tell them, right? That's a very simple and respectful way that we can be to them. Time boundaries. This is very much important again. Time boundaries are rules and limits relating to how people spend their time and what their time is worth of. So, time boundaries usually come into the picture during our work timings, right? Tell me something. Which sounds most like you? I'm gonna read out three sentences. I protect my schedule well. I often overcome it. I struggle to say no. Which one would you vote? A, B, C. You can just type. A is I protect my schedule well. B is I often overcome it. C is I struggle to say no. A. I prop. B. Tejasvi. I overcome it. Exactly, right? When we start overcommitting, it's not our mistake, definitely. But our company or our workplace is going to expect us to work for more hours, work for more time, and not pay enough. That's another thing. But they expect us to spend more personal hours than the working hours, which means that we are not able to maintain a work-life balance because we are not assertive about our time boundaries. So we have to make sure that we don't overcome it. See, being ambitious is completely all right, but over ambitious. There's again a thin line between ambitious and over ambitious, where we have to make sure that we are really um, we have to reflect ourselves that okay, will we be able to complete that in the given time, or are we going to spend as personal hours? Understood? Then we have digital boundaries. These are the limits and rules as a person, sets around their use of social media, texting, calls, online interactions to protect themselves, privacy, emotional well-being, and relationships. Here we have seen the first example, right, about invading the privacy, digital privacy, where Harry checks Grace's phone. That's the digital boundary they haven't drawn for themselves. Privacy around devices, online presence, not being comfortable is completely all right. Setting relationship communication boundaries. I need personal time away from my phone. Screen free personal time, that is, no phones during meals or before sleep. Controlling social media exposure. I will unfollow accounts that negatively affect my mental health. Limiting work communication after working hours, after office hours. Most of us are, because WhatsApp has become very convenient. A lot of our clients, a lot of our working employees, colleagues, they keep texting us that, after work hours also, they keep texting us what is the update, whatever it is, right? And we tend to reply to them. So it is very important for us to draw that boundary as well, because that creates digital boundary where it limits our work communication after working hours, which means that we are also addressing time boundaries here and also digital boundaries here. We are very much being particular that I am not going to work after my working hours, and I am not going to communicate with my work colleagues after my working hours and use my Microsoft Teams or WhatsApp groups that includes work. Boundary detective, right? It's a very small activity. I'm going to read out each line. You just have to tell me what kind of boundary is this? Identifying the boundary. A manager messages at midnight expecting an immediate reply. What kind of boundary is it? Digital, exactly. Very true. A friend reads your diary without permission. What kind of boundary will it come under? Material. Hmm, material, definitely, but it is more of emotional boundary, don't you think so? Because we are, yes, it's something personal that we write in. It's something that we write about our daily life, our personal stories that a friend cannot read. Someone stands uncomfortably close during conversation. What kind of boundary is this? Physical, yes. A colleague dismisses your opinion and mocks your views. What kind of boundary is it? Dismissing opinion and mocks your views. Intellectual, very right. Someone repeatedly borrows money without returning it. Material, very true. Right? Now, these are the types of boundaries that we have seen. But again, there are healthy versus unhealthy boundaries. So in these types only, we have healthy boundaries and unhealthy boundaries. What is a healthy boundaries? Healthy boundaries are clearly and consistently communicate to others how you want to be treated and loved, which means that these come from a place of love and wanting to grow. You are assertive about what you want and what you need, but simultaneously compromise and adapt to other person's boundaries as well. That means there's so much understanding and empathy that comes into picture when it comes to maintaining a healthy boundary. What is an unhealthy boundary? Unhealthy boundaries are inconsistent, loose, too rigid, or non-existent. Many people struggle to set and maintain boundaries. Your early experiences of relationships determines your ability to stand firm in what you believe in, what you want and don't want, and what you will tolerate and what not. So, if your upbringing was unboundaried or overly strict, or you might, because of that, you might struggle with boundaries in your adult relationships. So, it is very important for each one of us to identify how our upbringing was, how did we maintain our boundaries with our parents, or how our parents maintain their boundaries with us, because it will definitely impact on our adult relationships. Signs of healthy. How do you identify one is having a healthy boundary or an unhealthy boundary? So it's simple. Healthy boundary signs, clear sense of your own values and limits, ability to say no without guilt, respecting others' boundaries in return, feeling safe to express needs, balanced give and take in the relationships, maintain sense of identity. Signs of an unhealthy boundaries. It's always draining, definitely. Feeling responsible for others' emotions, difficulty saying no, chronic people pleasing behavior, right? Most of us in this generation have this people pleasing behavior and difficulty saying no. Lot of us have observed, right? Like most people struggle with saying no. Resentment building up over time. You feel sad, you'll feel resented. Feeling drained after interactions, tolerating disrespect or mistreatment, losing sense of self in relationships. These are the signs of unhealthy. What if someone crosses your boundaries? How do you identify that? Okay, this person has crossed my boundary. How would you identify it? Recognize the discomfort. How will you recognize the discomfort? Tell me. If someone crosses your boundary, what really happens? Will we be physically be affected or only emotionally be affected? Both, right? Notice how you feel when they cross your boundary. Very uncomfortable, anxious, pressured, disrespected. Your feelings are valid signals, right? Do not ignore your signals. Do not ignore your feelings at that moment. Because if you start ignoring them, that means you are ignoring and you are letting them cross your boundary, which is again very unhealthy. Communicate clearly. What will you do? Use calm and assertive statements, right? I am not comfortable with that. I need some space. Please don't go through my phone. I had already communicated my limit. These are few assertive statements that you can use while setting up your boundaries, right? Reinforce the boundary. Sometimes people test limits repeatedly. You tell them, if this continues, I will need to step away from the conversation. I will need to step away from the relationship. Reduce guilt. It's okay to set a boundary. It's okay to set a no. It's okay to be being selfish sometimes, right? Because you are placing yourself first, prioritizing yourself first. Prioritizing ourselves is not a problem, is completely all right. Setting boundaries is not a rule or a selfish. Healthy relationship respect limits. Everybody has their own limits. So everybody has to respect each other's limits. Take action if needed, right? If the person repeatedly ignores your boundaries, limit contact, take emotional distance, seek support from trusted people. So, this is an example, right? I don't like late night work calls. Boss has crossed the boundary. Boss repeatedly calls after midnight, right? So, what will you say? What could be the nicest way of saying addressing this issue to the boss? I'll be available during working hours unless it's an emergency. That message we can definitely post to the boss, right? You are available, but only during the emergency, and letting him know that I am not going to work after my working hours. How to identify your own boundaries? As I said, when do I feel resentful or drained? What do I need more of or less of? Where do I feel my limits are being crossed? What values are not non-negotiable for me? As we have discussed in the first slide, right? Boundaries are surrounded by our values and beliefs and how we do them, right? So it's very important that you reflect upon these. Write down that, these are the reflection prompts that you can use in your daily journaling, right? And see where you are crossing, reflect or being self-aware that is someone crossing your boundaries, or are you crossing someone's boundaries, or are you setting limits, or are you creating proper boundaries for yourself. This is very helpful when you do a daily journal as well. So you can always go back to these reflection prompts and take notes and, reflect upon them on a day-to-day basis. How to communicate boundaries? This is a small formula, right? Communicate. State the boundary clearly. Be specific and not vague. Use I statements. I feel, I need, I want. Keep it simple. No over explaining or justifying. Be prepared to repeat. Boundaries often need reinforcement. Example, I need at least one evening or a week to myself. It helps me recharge. It's all right to get recharged. It's all right that you're taking time for yourself. So be firm. Use I statements when you start, you know, when you want to create a boundary. Okay, is anyone interested to doing a role play? Or they can do it in chat as well, right? So I'm gonna give you a small topic. Friend is constantly calling late night. So what would you state? How would you state your state your boundary? How would you set a boundary here? Friend is constantly calling late at night. What would you tell them? How would you create a boundary? You can let them know. I need to sleep earlier because I feel exhausted the next day. Right? That sounds pretty good, right? Coworker giving extra work. What would you address? How would you tell them? Time boundary again. I understand you need help, but I need to focus on my own work right now. You can tell them. Parent checking your phone. This thing, of course, a lot of kids must have been facing problem with. Parents are, of course, showing their concern towards their children, but not every child is comfortable that parent is invading their privacy, right? So, how would you do that? I feel uncomfortable when my phone is checked without my permission. Taking permission is good. Though you're a parent, please do take permission from your kid before you check their phone. Friend oversharing emotional problems daily. This is again the example that we have discussed before. I care about you, but I also need some time to recharge emotionally. What are the challenges that one might face? There are a lot of challenges again. Guilt after setting a boundary, pushbacks from others, fear of conflict, cultural and family expectations, inconsistent enforcement. So, what would you do? Guilt after setting a boundary. Is it okay? What is a strategy that we could use? Remind yourself boundaries are to protect the relationship, not to ruin the relationship. So, it's okay to create a boundary. Pushback from others. It's okay. Stay calm. Repeat the boundary. Don't argue. Fear of conflict. Of course, in the beginning, while you are trying to set a boundary, you would definitely fear that you would ruin that relationship. There would be a lot of conflicts between you and the other person. But what you can do is practice with low stake, low stake situations first. Take small situations, take baby steps here, right? Then you would get used to it, how to set your own boundaries. Cultural and family expectations. What would you do here? Again, acknowledge complexity. Small steps are still progress. Start with small. As I said, as with a parent and a child, tell your parents that, if they're checking your phone, or if you are a parent, start taking permission from your children, or tell your parents that please take my permission before you check my phone. I'm okay you with you checking my phone. but you need to take my permission because it's my personal space. Digital boundary, personal boundary, right? What boundaries are not? Boundaries are not punishment or attempts to control others, not ultimatums or threats, not about changing someone else, not selfish. They're self-preserving. Boundaries are about what you will do, what and not what others must do, right? Reflection. Here comes the reflection part. So, as I said, what's one boundary you would like to strengthen in your life this month? So, go back to thinking about you being, though it's small children, though it's younger children, or though they are adults, permission is the basic that we do need to ask them, right? Ask them, be gentle with them, tell them the reason behind why are you doing and what is the reason behind you asking for their phone or you checking their phone. They would definitely understand and not create a conflict there, right? So, guys, what's one boundary you would like to strengthen in your life this month? Think about it, reflect upon it. Is it physical? Is it emotional? Is it digital? Is it time? Or is it in which relationship do you want to strengthen that boundary? And where do you fail strengthening the boundary? Where do you fail to set that boundary up? Anyone wants to share which boundary would they like to strengthen in their life this month? Anyone interested to share? Time, time, a lot of people time, right? These days we do struggle with work-life balance and setting a time boundary. That's very much important. Anyone else? Right. So takeaways and action steps, right? To set a boundary. Emotional, right? Yeah, you can start journaling, guys. As I said, you can take down the reflection prompts. Start journaling about where do you feel, uh, when do you feel resentful, when do you feel drained. So you'll try to identify where you are going wrong and try to set up your own boundaries. Boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. Start by identifying one area where you need a clearer boundary. Practice communicating it simply and without over justifying it. Expect discomfort, definitely. It gets easier with practice. Seek support if boundary setting is particularly difficult, right? Going to therapy is okay. Going to coaching or therapy and trying to build yourself, trying to strengthen your boundary is absolutely okay. Not everybody is an expert in setting a boundary. Okay, before Q&A, I would like to share my journey with Manojagrati. So it had started with when I was in my sixth grade, I would say. I met Geeta Chala ma'am through my mother, who's a psychologist right now. So I've been working with her. I've been volunteering in Manojagriti since a very long time. It has been very inspiring. It was very great working with her, seeing a lot of cases, a lot of variety of people, uh, lot of knowledge to take in, a lot of learnings to take in, right? And this is where I am with a lot of inspiration that I've got from Manoj Agrati and Geeta Chala ma'am. And yeah, I have set my career in psychology right now. And now the room is open for Q&A. If there's any questions that anyone would like to ask.
You can unmute now.
There are no questions.
Uh, so as you said, Karunya,
Yes,
setting boundaries is really big challenge,
it is
and
definitely.
it will take time.
It
Yeah,
will. It will. One thing
because
you have to, sorry.
yes, yes, Karin.
One thing you all have to remember, guys, is, take it small. Baby steps is always okay. At least you're starting now, right? Never, it's never late. So
Mm.
start. It's okay that your boundaries have been crossed previously. It's okay that you couldn't set your boundaries previously, but right now you have got the opportunity to reflect about your own boundaries and setting your boundaries with other people to build and grow your relationships in a better manner. So it's the time that you all can start reflecting upon how you felt being in that relationship, how you are as a person, how you are feeling as a person when you talk to other people, and how you are able to set your boundaries with others.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Once we set boundaries, automatically it will take care of our mental health, physical health. Every area will be set,
Definitely.
no doubt. Really, an insightful session. We know, but still, uh, your session made us to recognize the importance of boundaries. It might be in the family or in the work area, anywhere where to maintain certain boundaries, we need to be assertive. That is,
Yes.
yeah, it's really insightful session, Karunya. Thank you
Thank you. Thank you,
for
ma'am.
reminding
Thank you.
us to give importance to our boundaries. Uh, if you have any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll wind up session. You can unmute and ask questions.
Thank you, ma'am, for joining.
Okay. Formally wind up the session, Karunya.
Thank you everyone for joining the session. It was great seeing you all attend the session. And as this is one of the sessions, right? You have one more session tomorrow with a new topic, new insight, new knowledge that you can gain. Please do attend tomorrow's session at 7 p.m. again. Thank you all.